Okay, we're going to go do the inexact science of trying to find a water well. And it's a little hairy because it's an expensive or potentially expensive proposition. We're looking at drilling at the cost of about $30 a foot going down a hole. And so that's a lot of money to throw down a hole without any guarantee that there's going to be water down that hole somewhere, and or how far down you have to go to find it. But we're hedging our bets a little bit, because what we're going to do is the inexact science part of this is we're going to bring out a dowser. You can call them a dowser, a water locator, a water witcher, whatever you call them, but that's kind of the terminology that we use for that. But anyway, they know how to come out and find water. They have a strange bit of science or voodoo, I'm not sure what it is, maybe a combination thereof, but they come out and they hold these two little rods that are about that long,
metal
bend, and they're copper. At least that's what this guy uses. And he walks around, he goes in a circle, and he starts going around, and I did this so it actually does work, and it's a little bit weird, but when you locate water, they cross. And I actually, after he had located water, we were looking at a different piece of property, and he handed them to me and he says, go ahead and walk across there, and I did, and the doggone things crossed. Don't know how it works. Electromechanical, water in our body, I don't know what it is, but it works. It's weird. But then he has a little bit of a different science. He's got a number of different devices, basically a bunch of different sticks that he uses. That's what they are.
Like a witch doctor.
Yeah, so he pulls a different stick out, and then he uses that, and it's a forked one. Comes up like this, got a little bit of a stick, and he grabs it upside down so it's pointing up, and he walks back and forth across this water location, and he actually is putting a lot of effort into this, holding this stick still, and eventually what it does is it flips down when it hits the strongest point of this water source, and that's again another indicator for us that there's where the water is. And then the final thing he does is he gets a different little stick, straight stick out, and he holds it over this, and pretty soon it starts bouncing around and going in a circle, and then it just starts doing this, and every time it goes down, it's a foot. It's a count, and so he's counting how many times this thing bobs up and down, and that's supposed to tell us how deep this water is. And then the others are him pacing back and forth over this water source, and however many steps he takes away is how many gallons it is. I don't know how it works, but apparently it works. We're going to find out. So we're going to have him out. This is better than just throwing a stick out in the yard somewhere, and wherever it lands, say drill there. I think at least we're feeling like we're doing something purposeful instead of just going whatever, because that's a lot of money to just go whatever about. You know, a water well could cost you a few $1,000s, or it could cost you $20,000, it could cost you more, and we don't want to go more. So we want to hedge our bets. We want to try to, and we've talked to the well drillers, and they all say, yep, use these guys. And we try to get a straight answer out of how accurate everybody is, and we get anything from, they're pretty close, they're close most of the time. They usually know where the water is, we just don't know if it's as accurate as what they're saying, so we get a lot of mixed reviews on how this works. But I guess at least we're being less random about it and more precise, I guess, for lack of a better term. So that's what we're going to do, and then once we've located that, we're going to call the driller out, and we're going to grab a big bag of money and pour it down a hole, and hopefully it spits water back out at us. That's pretty much.
And hopefully it's not that big of a bag of money.
Yeah. Well,
let's wait and see what the dowser says.
It feels funny to just start pulling $100 bills out and throwing them in a hole and hoping that something happens, because
that water comes back.
We don't want it to just be a hole that we spend a lot of money on and get nothing in return. So that's a little nerve-wracking. That's probably the most randomized thing that we have to do to develop a piece of property when you have to get water, is we're not sure where the water is going to be, how much you're going to get, or what it's going to cost.
Or if you're going to get.
Or if you're going to get, right. And
which so, we've done our feasibility, so we're pretty confident.
Yeah, I think we're going to find water. It's just a matter of when and where and how much. The interesting thing is this, in my opinion, is the first thing you do after you get a piece of property before you do anything else to spend any other money on property. Find your water, because without the water, you're kind of a bust. So get your water figure out first, Power is easy to, you know, we can figure out how much it's going to cost to put in power. It's precise. It's wherever it's coming from to wherever you're going, and that's what, you know, then they figure the cost. Putting in a house, same thing. It's you know, we can figure these things out, but the water, we don't know until we get there. So that's what we're doing next. If you're looking at what the procession is.
This. Yeah, and that's those couple times, the only time in all the 50 years I've been doing it's did that.
What did that mean?
Good source.
Oh.
The
We
more
want that.
the more rotations, the more action, the
Bounce
harder
around.
it is, the better.
Okay.
Okay?
Stronger source.
For about 99% of the time. So, okay, we got that, got our depth. Then we come back, and from there we, let's say our static's this way, I'd go out this way at an angle. We always let them work, they stop. Say we walk out there 20 steps, they part. Approximate gallons per minute.
Okay.
So we would have a high of 20, mid 10, low of 5. But even, you know, 5 or 6 gallons, you know, it's not, if you're going to irrigate, but for a domestic house, put a cistern in of 2,000 gallons, you know, then you can irrigate. You know, have a lawn garden and that.
Yeah.
Okay, then, after we do that, the rotations, I was standing there about 2 years ago, and all of a sudden, there's the red mark was there, and they went, and then they went out, so I held them up. And, well, they do this. There's a 1 rotation, there's 2, there's 3 rotations. The better the source. Now, like yesterday, we had, I think, 31, but part of them were like this. They were just so, I could hardly hold on to them. It's another good indication of water, good water. And then we mark with our ribbon, okay? And then, I don't know if you folks remember, but we got to have a little prayer, because you people are important to me.
Probably in the spring.
Look at that bounce.
Yeah, we're doing real well. Watch.
That's good. That's good. Yay. I like to hear that. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you put them in here. I was going to get back there.
Okay. This is, when we were down there, remember?
Uh-huh.
We had an X going that way.
Uh-huh.
Now we have here going this way.
There, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here we go.
Bunch of happy wet trees.
Yep. There's like those there and that one there. I'm going to head right that way. Right, all there, so you go into there. There, see, as it X's, there's the orange right there. I can look right. Okay, cool. So, cool. See, just need a trail. Keep going. Yep, see, yeah. And then that one right there. And the one down below. Yeah.
So,
Just, yeah, throw them in or
Except for at the camera girl. Although that made a really good shot just now when you threw that at me.
okay, now, there's something again here. It's coming. See,
They're coming together.
well, yeah. But even before you see them move out there, you feel them move back here.
Oh,
That's why I see it.
yeah. Yeah.
There's nothing. They just rest there.
Yeah.
This way, see, it's just whatever the energy of the water
Yeah.
through me. There, you see them move?
Mm-hmm.
There we go. I thought we might, because there's that bunch of Rocky Mountain maple right there. Okay, there he is. Or there she is, whatever. Right there. Good movement. See that?
Yeah, that is.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We would walk from here down to our ribbon, that stake where it's red down there by the bucket, okay? When we got there, okay, this then, I would stop at the ribbon. I would take 4 or 5 steps past the ribbon. They come apart.
Right.
Then I turn around, back up a step or 2, They be like this. We come back to the ribbon. They crossed. They will not weave until I come back 4, 5, 6 steps in a line with this.
Right.
That tells us this water goes there, stops there, and then joins and then goes. It does not go down and go that way. It goes down. These ones the same way. We do the same thing. They would go down, connect, and they'd go down to there. That one would go down and connect and go to there.
Got it.
Okay?
Okay.
That's cool.
But how are we going to be able to do that with all this brush?
We aren't.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I was like, how are you going to do that?
And, well, we can if you wanna clear it all out. We can do it. So we're going to be on this one now. Okay. So here we go. We just walk up here, so we know we're on it. I'm just going to go right by you. You can stay. You're fine. Okay. There he stops. See this? That's why you go slow. See, it came in slower.
It did. I noticed that.
Why? I don't know.
The other time it came fast.
Well, yeah, because now watch.
Now it's bouncing. Do you see that, Kev? It bounces when it's flow. That's the flow.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just stops. Yeah.
There's our other ones. There.
So there's 4 coming into this, Rod.
Well, we can't. Yeah, right. And then 5's down there. Yeah, we got them. Okay, so now they're stopped. Okay. Back to water. Water. Yes, and we have 5. Well, 1, then 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Right. So we have 4 sources coming into this.
Going down to
and
there.
they're all coming in this, and then they're going down there.
Right where we first at. First red
Nice.
spot. Okay? Okay, so all we have to do, see how they're weaving?
Yeah.
Okay, now just let them sit here a minute.
Okay. And that's telling us the strength of the flow?
Watch.
Oh.
Now what
Our
this
well's gonna be in the middle of the
what
driveway.
this does too, this will be when we get down there, we're going to do our rotations, which that is only. I'll be out in front.
Okay.
But this, yeah, that gives you the strength of your flow, okay? Okay, see the red on the leaves there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, same thing. We're just gonna. Now they're gonna work quite a while because we got a lot of water. And we could. Okay, we got something over there coming here too. That's even better yet.
Yeah.
Okay, well we got that now. Yep. When I come back off of this one, we're going to do what we did up there, only we do this one that way. But I want to see what's here. Well, this is better yet even. But this is going to be 6 from the road. Number 6, okay?
Okay.
Stop, come apart. Okay, now it's going to cross, remember? But it won't weave until I go back up there about that top of those brush there.
Okay.
Stop. There we go.
It's weaving, yeah.
Okay. 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay.
Okay, so now Rod has went through, we have found all the sources of water running into the one spot where we want to do the well. And there's actually 6 sources coming in here, which is pretty exciting. And now what he's doing is holding these copper rods up, and as they flip back and forth, he calls them rotations. They are telling him however many rotations that there are is approximately how many gallons per minute that the well is going to be. Now, I know this looks crazy. I promise you, This is legit. Rod was holding these very steady and still. They were actually rocking his hands back and forth. And he let Kevin and I try this so that we could see. We were holding those rods still. We were not moving them, and they were doing the same thing in our hands. So I can't explain it. I don't know what the science or non-science is to it, but this was very cool to see these going back and forth. And the estimation through all the rotations that we counted were 28 gallons a minute. So we're super excited. And again, he's holding his arms as still as he can, but the rotation of the wires were bouncing his hands all over the place. So very definitely interesting to say the least. And now he's walking with this stick to see how strong the force of the water is. And when he walks over where the water is, you can see it start to move. He's holding this super hard, and it's actually pulling down to the ground, and it starts quivering as he's trying really hard to hold it. And then all of a sudden he makes a step and gets over the top of the water source, and before you know it, it just goes down strong and hard. And that was a really good thing. And he said sometimes this will go down, pull down so hard that it's actually broken his stick before. So that was really cool. Now what we're doing is we're finding out the depth. How far down are we going to have to drill? And he holds the stick over, and it's going to go around and around in circles, which talks to the strength of the source of the water again. And then eventually it stands still and it starts bouncing up and down. And every bounce is a foot. So of course, we don't want it to bounce a whole lot because that means our well will not cost us as much. But it was definitely bouncing, and we had a really good count when we got to the bottom of this. Thankfully, we're not looking at a well that's going to be 300 feet deep. In fact, we don't even think we're going to go 200.
1, 2, 3. Okay, we got to remember 28.
Okay. Help me remember that, Kevin.
$50. $100. $50. Okay, 168. We had 28, 168. $169, 77. $189. I didn't think we'd get to 200, but we are deeper by another 40, 50 feet probably. Okay, so I'm just going to call it 190 is your bottom. They're just contractor.
Right. That's good, babe. It doesn't have to be.
All right. Well, X marks the spot, or stake marks the spot, or whatever you want to look at, but that's where we're going to drill. That's after all the other business that you saw prior, with all the locating and the climbing through the trees and the sawing branches and making all this fuss. But we wound up with 2 spots. This one was an accidental spot that we discovered on the way to the other spot. And if you remember in the video, he was walking with the fork stick towards the other well spot that we had already designated, and all of a sudden this thing just went wham right there. And he's like, huh, there's another place. And so he did the same process here as he did on the other one to see what the depth was and the amount of water and so forth. And there's no water veins coming into this like the other one was, but it's just a very strong indicated spot that there's water, and it's a little shallower than the other spot. So on this one, we're looking at about 140 foot, 130 foot down versus about 190 on the other one. And this is supposed to be 28 gallons a minute versus 38 on the other one. But this one's a better location for us. It's away from, it's a little further in on the property off the main road back there. And I think we have to get, the well drillers have to be able to get in here to it. And so there's going to be 2 big vehicles sitting here side by side. So they need about 30 feet by 40 feet of, flat area here to get up in here. And then they're going to put that drilling rig right over the top of that stake, and we're going to start pouring money down a hole.
And hopefully get water back.
Yeah, hopefully we get a big return on our investment, but that remains to be seen. So this is probably the most unnerving part of the whole process. Again, like I said, there's a lot of unknown here until we hit water, and hopefully we hit it where he said it was. That's what we paid him to tell us. So we'll see how well that works out. We're out a couple $100 if we miss.
Yeah.
Plus the drilling cost.
That was the other thing I wanted you to tell him, Kevin, that this particular gentleman works on a donation basis, but it's usually $200 to $400 for a dowser.
So anyway, this is the one we're going to pick.
Yep.
We got to make sure that our excavator guy comes in and makes us a nice landing zone here for these guys. They got to bring a very heavy, about 85,000 pound drilling rig in here. They cost about $1 million a piece. They're expensive. They're what they call a rotary drill, and they drill fast, and it's scary to watch how quickly they can go 20 feet down at $30 a foot. And you hope you start seeing water spit out of the hole, because that tells us where we're supposed to be. So we'll find out. But we're going to get 2 or 3 drillers out, get some estimates, get some opinions, get kind of see what they think about this spot. Every one of them that we've ever talked to has said that they use dowsers, they recommend dowsers, and several of them have recommended the same guy that we had out here. So that was a kind of an indication of picking the right person. Based on that, they said he's got the highest percentage of accuracy, I guess, if you will, of any of them. And he's 70-some years old. You can see that he's having a little difficulty getting around in the video. So anyway, we accommodated that. So a lot of moving parts to this in the upfront phases here. A lot of stuff going on in the background that we'll keep you aware of. But we got to get permits for things.
Speaking of permits, we only have to get one from the EPA for the state for that well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's registered and legal. Right,
so there's a $200 fee for that. We have to get a permit to come into the property, so we have a driveway access. That's another thing that we have to pay. I think it was $50 for a fee, and we mark the location that we want to come in off the road, and then they come out and check it for safety and making sure it's a good approach coming off the road and that kind of thing. So just being aware that there are fees and permits for various things that you need to do for development. Those could range and vary depending on where you're at. This is what we're doing, and so we're just making you aware of that so you can do your own research on your location and make sure that you don't get in trouble with the state, the city, the county, the state, the whoever entity that you're having to appease. And a lot of them, it's you pay your fee, you do your thing. There's no inspection. They're just getting their money.
And there's no surprises for us on this. I want to point out, because of the feasibility study that we did, we already knew this stuff was coming up.
Yeah.
So that's part of your feasibility study.
And that's so those are things that you definitely want to make sure you subscribe and ring the bell so you hear the next notification of our videos, because we're going to be walking you through this process as we go, and so you can be aware of all the things that you need to know when it comes to developing a piece of property. And again, we're doing this from scratch. This has never been developed. It's just raw land, and we're coming in and having to go through all the whole process from start to finish.